Good evening. The Suffolk Public School Board will now come to order. We have pledge allegiance by Mrs. Linda Bashar.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Bashar. We will now have the certification of the closed meeting.
Resolution of certification of the closed meeting of June 14th, 2018, pursuant to Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
So move.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard?
Yes.
Board Member Brooks-Buck?
Yes.
Board Member Dobransky?
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick?
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Byram?
Yes.
Chairman Copeland?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Public speakers?
There are no public speakers for this time.
No public speakers. We now have the reports by the superintendent. Dr. Whitney?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to the podium Ms. Beth Ann Bradshaw, our Public Information and School Community Relations Officer. Ms. Bradshaw.
Good evening. Each month we take this opportunity to share with you and our viewing audience at home some of the exciting things that happen in our schools each and every day and some of the outstanding work that our students and staff and our volunteers and partners do each and every day. So tonight we want to introduce you to some of the partners and volunteers who have helped our students and our staff shine during the 2017-18 school year. As you know, the school board has as one of its division-wide goals to strengthen family engagement and community investment. And one of several strategies to do that includes broadening partnerships with community organizations and individual volunteers to create programs and resources that are needed by our students and their families. So tonight we wanted to highlight both programs with an overview of this year's success. And we wanted to recognize some of our strongest partnerships and our most devoted volunteers. We hope that tonight's Good News Report will encourage others to step forward to help out in the schools or to step up and increase their participation in our Partners in Education and our Volunteer Connect program. Our Partners in Education program is closely affiliated with our Volunteer Connect program, of course. Partner organizations provide financial resources and donations, but human resources as well. This year, throughout the 20 schools and programs and centers, we have a total of 84 unique organizations who serve as partners in education. Many of those serve in more than one school. Therefore, there's 203 formal partnerships. For our volunteer program, we have a total of 4,400 registered volunteers, and since last July, the number of volunteer hours logged in our Volunteer Connect system totals 7,350 hours of donated time. We know that there are probably thousands of additional hours that volunteers don't take the time to log because it's a self-reporting system, but we hope that they would so we can get a more proper measure of their impact. According to the Independent Sector Network, these logged hours are equivalent to a $181,500 contribution to Suffolk Public Schools. Volunteers did an assortment of jobs, but the most prominent ones were library helper, helping with field day, helping teachers in classrooms, office assistant working at the kiosk, guest reader, and tutoring. With a little bit of that background tonight, we wanted to introduce you to our top 5 partners in education for 2017-18 and our top 3 volunteers for the year. As I present each group, I'll read a little bit from the school coordinators who nominated the bestest of the best and the most valued partners and volunteers. As I call the name of each individual and group, we would like for them to come forward along with representatives from their nominating school. So I'll have the school personnel present the certificate of appreciation to the group. And then afterwards in the hallway, we'll have more formal pictures made because we want to share a lot more of this with the broader audience that's not perhaps watching this tonight. Our first honoree of top volunteers, was unable to attend tonight because she's volunteering to help with her grandchildren in Florida. Sylvia Polliard has been a tireless volunteer at Nansen Parkway Elementary School for many years. She's spread the love of reading with countless students at a time through her work at the library. She scours library shelves to find books that align with the curriculum, brings puppets from home to engage students during story time, helps students achieve their AR goal, and encourages them to become independent readers. Ms. Polliard has logged more than 353 volunteer hours this school year, and accepting on her behalf is Jennifer Connor, Assistant Principal at Nansen Parkway Elementary. But we're still going to give Ms. Polliard and their Nansen Parkway Library a round of applause for all their help. Our next honoree is Barbara Hoyt, who has logged 540 hours this school year at Northern Shores Elementary School. She too faithfully volunteers almost every day in the school library, shelving, labeling, preparing books. So if Ms. Hoyt would come forward and the representatives from her school. The media specialist calls her her right-hand man, saying, and I quote, "I don't know what I'd do without her generosity of time," and quoting Seth Parker, "You may not have a lot of money, but if you save a lot of heartaches for other folks, you are a pretty rich person." So the school says in their mind, Barbara is the richest person they know. Thank you. Our third honoree is Jennifer Davis, who has logged 560 volunteer hours this year at Pioneer Elementary School. Again, a dedicated weekly library volunteer. For several years, Ms. Davis also stepped up to serve as PTA president this year and has worked with parents, students, and staff to ensure the success of many wonderful events at Pioneer. She has been unwavering with her continuous dedication to provide the best for our school, and also works as a volunteer and board member with many organizations in the community. Thank you, Ms. Davis. So we now want to recognize the top 5 partners in education for 17-18. It's interesting to note that the variety of organizations that are represented here tonight: a student group, a city department, a business, a church, and a law enforcement agency. But first, we wanted to share some photos of a few of our other partners in education, people that are making a difference in our schools this year. So again, 84 partner organizations, 103 partnerships. So we have Coast Guard that works with math. We have science lessons with different organizations. Food Line provides an in-store grocery store math, so parents and kids can apply their math lessons to shopping. Bayport Credit Union runs a savings account program for students and also helped with field day, as a lot of folks do. Virginia Air and Space Center brings in some science lessons to several schools. Omega Sci-Fi has packed backpacks for kids that needed supplies at the beginning of the year. Chick-fil-A has been all over the place, but this year they were actually at Lakeland High School's graduation practice helping the kids celebrate. I think they might have wanted to graduate, but we need the cow around for a little while. BASF also does science lessons at several of our schools. Smucker's has packed weekend snack packs for students who might go hungry otherwise if they didn't have that satchel of, nutritious food they could have over the weekend. And we had a big group this year from the USS Abraham Lincoln that participated in the Dr. Seuss Read Across America Day. It was 100 or more sailors. They were at each of our elementary schools, and so that impacted 6,500 students. The younger students were all read to every class, K through 3, and in 4 through 5, the sailors talked about careers in the military and what it takes to be, a strong leader. So now to talk about our top 5 partners, in no particular order. Our first one is Lakeland High School. Rho Kappa Honor Society was nominated by Kilby Shores Elementary School for recognition. So that group, they got a lot of kids. A lot of these kids, they go to the school a couple times a month, but a lot of them, this was their elementary school. So it's kind of fun going back. These high school students visit the school at least twice a month. They work a lot with the early childhood classes, help first graders reach their accelerated reader goals, serve in the Santa shop. I volunteered in the Santa shop this year, and this whole crew came in, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I was so tired of figuring out 25 cents and 10 cents, and they were whipping it out because they knew their math so well, so they were very helpful. And they also helped third graders, which is what this picture is, in the annual Exploding Pumpkins experiment. So this year, Rho Kappa members logged 220 volunteer hours, so thank you very much. Don't leave before the end, because, you can go now, but we're going to take a picture out with that big group. We're going to get you on the stairs, and we'll make sure that we get some more. Thank you. Suffolk Fire and Rescue Engine 6 was nominated by Hill Point Elementary School for recognition. At this one school, they work at 10 of our elementary schools, but at this one school, they were praised for coming. They designate Wednesdays as their day to be at Hill Point. So when they arrive, they check in and usually head to the gym to assist the PE teacher, and I think they just like to play basketball with the students. But they visited students during lunch, helped them at special events such as field day, and bring the fire trucks and apparatus on career days. Suffolk Fire and Rescue has been a long-time partner with education with the school, and again, this year I said different units have partnered with 10 of our elementary schools. Oops, I guess I'm supposed to hand you this. So again, thank you very much. Good. That's priceless. So that little kid's probably going to remember that for the rest of his life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. College Drive Walmart was nominated by Creekside Elementary for recognition. The store supports students year-round through an outreach program called Blessings in a Backpack, which provides non-perishable food items for about 20 students each weekend. In addition, the Walmart manager, Rosa Copeland, has donated school supplies, gift items, and equipment to support several school activities, such as the Girls with Pearls Etiquette and Leadership Club. Thank you very much. Zion Community Church, which was nominated by John Yates Middle School for recognition. Once a month, and these pictures couldn't show, I think, the impact that they have. Once a month, they bring volunteers to cover all lunch shifts from 10 a.m. to 1:40 p.m. so that teachers can have a duty-free lunch. And on that day, even more volunteers bring and serve teachers and staff a special lunch. The volunteers provide additional support to their guided reading programs and 8th grade English classes. The men of the church work with the school's male student mentoring group. And this year, in this bottom picture, Zion surprised teachers and staff with a free teacher appreciation gala at a Harbor View hotel. Thank you very much. Suffolk Sheriff's Department was nominated for recognition by Elephants Fork Elementary School. At this school, they, in addition to organizing holiday toy donations for some of the families at the school, they teamed up recently with Walmart and local churches to upgrade the playground equipment and toys for kindergarten and early start students. Each Thursday, they send 2 volunteers to tutor first graders in reading. The Sheriff's Department has also committed to having one of its deputies visit each of our 11 elementary schools every day. So they come by to check on teachers and staff and to build relationships with our students. So let me show you some more pictures because some of them are fun. So kids just really come to depend and have an adult that they can look up to that doesn't have to be there, I guess. Not the parent, not the teacher. And again, to have a better feeling for law enforcement. Basketball again. They do the Eddie Eagle gun safety program. And we just want to thank them again. They have logged, throughout the division, more than 650 volunteer hours in our schools. So thank you again very much. this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot that goes on each and every day. There's some organizations that don't want to formalize partnerships, that will just sponsor certain special events. But we're very, very grateful, and our students and staff are very appreciative of these helping hands, both of students, parents, grandparents, just family, retired teachers, as well as the organizations who come forward and they say, our kids, our future is very important to us, and we're going to be there for them as much as we can. So again, thank you to all of our outstanding 2017-18 volunteers and partners in education. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you.
Any comments from any board members?
I'd just like to say a special thank you to everyone. It truly takes a village to raise a child, and all the part that you are doing is most appreciated by all of us, especially this board. Thank you.
Ms. Byron spoke for all of the board members at that time. Thank you very, very much. All right, now we have calendar of special events, Mr. Superintendent.
Yes, if you'll turn to the calendar of special events page, and you'll note that we have about 3 items up there. Of course, today was the students' last day of school, and tomorrow is teacher work day, our teaching staff last day, and then we have also the Virginia School Board Association Conference on June 17th, July 17th, excuse me. Right, page 17, actually, thank you. What's that date? You have that?
June 28th.
June 28th, we do have a GED at Kings Fork High School. Special ceremony for the students have completed that program at 10 o'clock. And that's all the reports by the superintendent. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Whitney. Now we have the consent agenda. Will the board members look over the consent agenda, and you have any one item you like to discuss, where you are so indicate? If not, we'll approve the entire agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard,
Yes?
Board Member Brooks Buck,
Yes.
Board Member Dobransky,
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick,
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Byram,
Yes.
Chairman Copeland.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next, we have unfinished business. The superintendent.
Yes, thank you again. If you'll turn to page 19, I'll call to the podium Mrs. Wendy Forsman, our Executive Director of Finance, to give you a budget update on our state budget, which now in turn impacts our local budget.
Good evening. As you know, we adopted our financial plan back in May, and I've put the screen up here to give you just those numbers one more time. So when you adopted your financial plan, it was $168.1 million, or a 4.34% increase over the current fiscal year that we're in. But the state came back and finally got us a budget and gave us some numbers, and the results of that are that they increased the supplemental lottery for the per pupil allocation. And they increased that by $550,559. So that money is not guaranteed, but it is money that they've allocated to us for next fiscal year. So I do want to remind you that the raises changed. The state initially had raises at 2% beginning in December of 2019. When they came back and they approved their budget, they raised that to 3% average over the 18-20 biennium. for all SEQ positions as of July 1, 2019. But that is also contingent upon stable general fund revenue forecast for 19 and 20. So it's not, again, guaranteed that it will be in there until we get those revenue forecasts in December of 2019. So with all that being said, it looks like there's $550,559 that we need to go to the city and ask them to appropriate. So the recommendation is that we add 24 full-time safety monitors, 2 additional at each high school for a total of 3 at each high school, 1 at each middle school and 1 at each elementary school, 1 at Turlington Woods and 1 at College and Career Academy at Pruden.
If I may, Mrs. Forsman, you may recall we talked about if we received additional funding from the state, then we would dedicate that to school safety. One of the things that we had talked about is having the safety monitors, but we had talked about having them part-time. Sometimes there's a challenge to secure a part-time position, particularly when you're going to want that person there every day at the start of the school day and at the end of the school day. With the new laws, of course, if they were part-time, they could only work up to 29 hours. With them becoming full-time, they'd be able to be at the beginning of the day during the most busy time as far as people coming into the building, and of course at the end of the day. We also have included, or will include, specific training that Dr. Rice is working with the Justice Department as far as these particular safety monitors. So I think it's money that's well dedicated to safety issues within our school.
So for our next steps,
Excuse me, do you have a plan to go along with that, a safety plan?
A safety plan, yes. Each school does have a safety plan and a crisis plan as well. Yes.
System have one for the entire school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
so the next step would be that our superintendent will send a request to the city manager and city council to appropriate this additional money for state funding. And then once the school board approves and pending the city council's approval to appropriate the funding, then we'll come back to you with a budget amendment to add that and those lines to our budget. Any questions?
This money is predicated on the basis of the council approval
Absolutely.
to allow us to
Spend it.
these funds.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The state is appropriated. Is that correct?
State has approved it, but we now have to go, the city does our
Council to do
appropriations
it.
for the year, so they'll have to increase them, or to decide what to do, but we'll ask them to increase them.
Any further questions by board members? All right, thank you.
The next item on the under unfinished business is our strategic plan 2018 through 2023. We have presented this plan to you on a number of occasions. You may recall that this is the plan that will drive our division as far as making certain that we stay true to our vision, our mission, and of course our goals. I've asked Dr. Harrison to come before you. I'll allow you to kind of look through this because you've seen it before, and she'll be prepared to answer any questions. It's not a presentation unless you'd like to see it presented or have particular questions about it. This, again, is our strategic plan that will move us forward for the next 5 years.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Good evening, Chairman Copeland and Vice Chairman Byram and school board members. And as Dr. Whitney just stated, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the plan. And I do have all this. It's what's presented here tonight is the same plan that was presented, the revised version that was presented to you in May.
Question?
Harrison, one question I was asked was, when schools and teachers are asked to be specific about percentage of increase or percentage decrease, why does this plan not address that specifically?
And that's a very good question. And the way that we are approaching that is that we will develop annual targets aligned with the performance measures that are outlined in the plan. So, for example, if you look under, I'll just to give you an example, under Goal 1. So where you see that we have outlined our specific performance measures, each year we will present to the board where our schools are aligned with each of these data points and our goal for the upcoming year. And then so every year we will be reporting out to you our specific performance aligned with the goals that we've established each year. But we will establish those goals on an annual basis based on the previous year's performance.
Any further questions by board members? Thank you, Dr. Harrison.
This is an action item.
All right.
I move that we approve the strategic plan as presented.
I'll second that.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
New business?
Yes, sir. The first item you can see is rescheduling of the August 9th, 2018 school board meeting and setting of a school board vision planning meeting. Traditionally, we have changed that meeting and combined it with our vision planning meeting, or also known as a retreat. I'm suggesting that we use the date or change it to August 16th, 2018 at 9 a.m. at Kings Fork High School.
Action.
Yes.
This is action.
I move that we accept the August 16th meeting at Kings Fork High School.
Is it the 16th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 16th, okay. At 9 a.m., you said?
Yes.
And at Kings Fork?
Kings Fork High School.
Get a second?
Give it a second, even though I won't be here. I'll second it.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Ordinances, first reading. This is for information. We will vote on the second reading. Questions on the ordinances? First reading. Okay. Next we will have public speaker on non-agenda topics. Citizen comment on agenda and non-agenda item. We have Christy Duman, homeschool, part-time student enrollment.
Hi, good evening. Hi, I'm Chrissy Duman. I would like to tell you about this little girl. She has curly ringlets, round blue eyes, tiny in frame, and a passion for animals and nature. She is gifted in organizing, memorizing, and being super efficient. However, as a student, she has struggled, trying to sit for a long period of time, not being able to learn from hands-on experience, and trying to focus more than 15 minutes while sitting. She has been through public schools and private schools. After extensive testing through Success in Mind, we found she is capable of effectively retaining and processing information with some accommodations. I began homeschooling her in 7th grade. Her life was changed immensely for the best. We found a part-time school with her co-op, Renaissance School of the Arts. She was finally able, with the assistance of qualified teachers, to enjoy classes. She met friends, she improved her social skills, and even attended dances. She began volunteering at the Virginia Living Museum. She broadened her knowledge of animals and sharpened her communicating skills. We also wanted to help her with her working memory and study skills to prepare her for college. We began a 3-year program in cognitive therapy last year. Then through one of Abigail's mentors, Dr. Hannah Adams, we discovered the veterinary program through CCAP. Suffolk Public Schools do have students that only take 2 to 4 classes a year, including seniors and Governor School for the Arts students. We are seeking part-time enrollment to provide continuity in her life. Abigail is a creature of habit and finds security in her surroundings and daily routines. As a part-time student, she would be able to graduate with her co-op, continue cognitive therapy, and mature an extra year before starting college, as she was born in August. Our goal is to apply at TCC's VET program, which only allows a select number of participants. We believe having the CCAP experience, along with her volunteering, summer camps at Auburn University, NC State, and Iowa University would increase her chances. In response to Dr. Judith Brooks Buck, I have a letter from her psychiatrist, Dr. Michael Murphy, for the board's review. Thank you for your positive consideration in this unique request. My daughter can and would greatly benefit from this opportunity. A decision for fall enrollment for the 2018-19 school year would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And then I have a letter as well.
Thank you.
Read this, or can I
Ms.
just pass
Duman.
that? Is that okay?
We will take this request under consideration and get back to you.
May I ask a question about it? I understood that in order for this to be possibly accepted, that we would need a policy change. Dr. Whitney, can you tell me, give us some guidance on what we can do as a board to help this?
Currently, in your policy, it states that we do not accept part-time enrollment. In the event that you were to accept part-time enrollment, that would require a policy change.
Right, and do you mind if I ask Ms. Duman a question about that? Is that appropriate? Well, if not, I just wanted to.
No, that's not.
Okay, then I wanted to make the statement that I understood that the reason that this child cannot take even one class at Kings Fork High School, right? At Kings Fork High School with the computerized program is because of the classes that she has to take for the cognitive learning. It would just make it almost impossible for her to get that number of hours in with the program that she is now enrolled in. So what would be our next step, Dr. Whitney, as far as reviewing this?
Again, it really would be a matter of changing policy and allowing students to enroll part-time. Not recently, but over the last few years, the State Department did rule that we can receive partial funding if a student is part-time enrolled.
So would this be handled by our policy committee? Is that the way we would go about it?
If that's what the board desires, they would have to suggest that we look at revising the policy, bring back the suggestion to you all, and then go through the approval process.
So that would be generated from you, Dr. Whitney, or do one of us need to request that?
So desired, yes. Request or direct me to do that, yes.
Okay, then in that case, I would like to direct that you do that, if you would.
Submit a draft to you and bring it back for approval?
I'm thinking,
Okay,
first of all, this problem, maybe I'm out of order, but it cannot be resolved at this dais at this time. If we want to
Of course it
go
can't
back and
now.
look at a policy, then
Right.
I think we need to talk about looking at the policy and what it is, but I would assume the board would agree that we need to look at changing the policy.
Right.
Especially since we're talking about changing a whole policy, not just for one student, but for any student who wants to attend part-time.
Right,
That
I know
will
it
have
could
a
not be
budget
resolved
impact.
tonight.
Yeah,
I realize that.
That would have a budget impact, so I think it's something that we may need to put on the agenda to discuss at a work session or whatever, because we need to know what the impact is going to be.
Right, I understand that.
Changing the policy and the policy committee then, and I'm just asking, Mr. Waller, when we look at policies, we look at first the subcommittee and then the board subcommittee and then looking at the policy for reading.
The
correct?
way that it normally works is that a draft of the proposed policy is circulated amongst the policy committee members, and then from that point, it comes to the full school board for a first reading, much like the policies you have in your booklet tonight. So I would suggest that you follow that same protocol on this. And then we could certainly circulate a revised policy to the policy subcommittee members, And then they, depending on whether or not they wanted to just come straight to the board or whether they want to talk about it among themselves first, they will make that initial call. And then once they've had a chance to either discuss it amongst themselves, review it, it then comes to the full board. And then when it comes to the full board, of course, you could, if you really want to enact the policy fairly quickly,
That's what
you
I
could
was
always
curious.
waive the second reading and you could adopt it on a first reading.
Right. The reason that I'm trying to find the procedure for this is that this little girl is trying to be able to begin this in the fall. And so since this is June, I was just wondering, is there any way that we could get it before the subcommittee as soon as possible so that we could make a decision on this before the fall? Is that at all possible?
Maybe we could take it up at the retreat. We could take it up at the retreat pending the committee report.
Possible to have something circulated amongst the policy subcommittee that they could review, and if they're ready for it to come to the full board, it could come to the full board as early as July. That's a possibility, depending on how the subcommittee feels about it.
Is there anything on my end I may do to make?
No, I
No,
don't
ma'am.
think it's out of your hands, I think.
I'm a mama bear.
Well,
Is-
anyway, I'm asking because I would like to request the subcommittee to perhaps be able to take a look at this as soon as possible, so that maybe we could at least get some action on it in July if possible, maybe, if not, as soon thereafter.
If I'm understanding correctly, so you're asking for staff to do a draft so that we can share with the subcommittee and follow the process that we normally do. And in July, if the subcommittee feels comfortable, we'll be ready to have it come to the full board.
Yes, sir, that's what I would request.
That's in agreement with the board?
Could I just ask, are we flipping, are we making a recommendation to flip the policy, to go from we do not to we do, or are there going to be stipulations? Or is that up for the policy committee to decide?
I would think that's going to probably initially start with the administration, because oftentimes some of the initial drafts of policies that are considered by the subcommittee, there is input from the administration. And then it goes to the policy subcommittee, at which time they could also suggest some further revisions to it. So exactly how it's going to be worded, what it's going to look like, I think it's a little early to tell.
Wes,
I was just simply saying.
Mr. Mitnick,
Oh.
is that,
That was fine,
That
thank
was
you.
his question.
okay, now? Dr.
No,
Buck?
I was simply saying this isn't a problem we can resolve at this instant, right now. As I understand speakers and public speaking, this isn't a problem that we should be trying to resolve at
Right,
this point.
right, I
No,
agree.
I didn't say
agree
that
with
we
you.
were. I just wanted to know, I just wanted to make a recommendation that we take a look at it, not in a direct response tonight or a decision. I knew that we couldn't do that. I just wanted to get some guidance on how we could proceed with, as Mr. Copeland said to Ms. Duman, that we would get back with her as soon as possible. That's what he said, so. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Duman. Next, we have Mr. William Newsom, School Division Concerns.
Take your time. We have plenty of time. Please take your time. Yes.
I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't know. You are the most educated school board in the United States of America. Now, I went across country, places like Westfield, New Jersey, Princeton, New Jersey, the Chicago suburbs, Palo Alto, California, Seattle, Washington, Texas, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, and you're the most educated school board in the United States of America. And that's wonderful. But we have the most deplorable schools in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's bad. Now, anytime 7 cities, this horse race, the 7 horses, you know, the cities, and they're in the horse race and they're running around. Chesapeake and Virginia Beach running neck and neck. And then Newport News, Hampton, and all of a sudden, Suffolk, dead last. And they were beating the jockey on the stretch, and it looked like it's neck and neck between Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, and looked like Virginia Beach wins again. And the man from Suffolk beating the horse to death, and the horse looked around and said, "Why you beating me? Ain't nobody behind me. We in dead last." And that's deplorable. I have a real concern with Mac Ben. I'm representing our Civic League, and it's the Roosevelt Ricks, LBJ, and E.L. White Senior Civic League. We want a new principal at Mac Ben. He's been there 3 years school, accreditation denied. That means you're doing absolutely nothing. Now, I lived in Virginia Beach 40 years, and this man came from Virginia Beach, and I know why. Now, he didn't come here because he loved peanuts. He could have stayed in Virginia Beach for peanuts. But he came up here, and we get this racist attitude, how parents are treated when they come there. The school is 72% black, and the kids that need the help the most get nothing, and it's deplorable. You know, we have sold these kids down the drain. We have done, you sit on the board, I couldn't be happy. You bring people up through the ranks, and make them superintendent, which is fine, but it don't work. Norfolk did that one time. We had Albert Ayers from Washington State to come here and desegregate the schools in Norfolk, and we brought Gene Carter in, and before it was over, he resegregated the schools. He came up through the ranks. We need a nationwide search next time for leadership. We do not have leadership in the school division. You lie to the parents, and you say, well, they're improving. Either you pass the test or you fail it. Well, the Commonwealth of Virginia is letting you off the hook now because they're using the SOL and other things now for accreditation. But that does not help those minority kids. You are making them a permanent underclass. Nobody in this city gives a D about the poor and disadvantaged students. And I'd be embarrassed to sit up there on the board and say, I'm representing this city of Suffolk so great. You know, not even do commercials. And they have disenfranchised the people in the inner city of Suffolk, downtown. The commercial said Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, North Suffolk, and Suffolk. Like we got 2 cities here. And maybe we do. But the kids that need education the most are getting the least. We don't have minority teachers right at Mac Ben because the principal there is just anti-this. One secretary was there, she was short with the parents. And these are people that talk with me. And everybody can't be lying. You know, I ask questions about this. Why don't you have minority? Well, we can't find minority teachers. And that's a lie. They found them in Virginia Beach. They found them in Norfolk. Why can't we find them here? Maybe we need Teach for America in Suffolk. Have you ever heard of the Teach for America program? That we can bring in teachers from these high-end schools. These kids come here with the academics. It's like the Peace Corps of education. Started in North Carolina. All the cities have it. We need it here. You lose teachers to Norfolk, everywhere else. Suffolk is paying $68,000 a year. They go 25-minute ride, and they make $80,000. Now, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure out that's $1,000 more a month. Now, we got to play catch-up. Now, with per capita income here, you know we at the top. And Isle of Wight County is one of the tops in terms of per capita income, right behind Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. Now, we got to do better. We got to put our heads together. You mismanage the money. You ask city council for more money, they give it to you, and no results. No result. If you're coaching and you stay 4 years and don't win, you out of a job and all your buddies with you. And that's the bottom line. You cannot keep people here to do nothing and reward them. Person stayed at John F. Kennedy forever, did absolutely nothing. The school wasn't accredited. Well, we tried. My daddy told me something about tried won't work for you know what. And it's the same thing now. You owe these kids more. And behoove me to see how you're going to sit on a board and say we love Suffolk. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I know my kids, and I lived in Virginia Beach 40 years, so I know the story behind the Mac Ben situation. We want a new principal there. I will stand in the door with parents, just like George Wallace, and we will not open the school in September with this man there doing absolutely nothing.
Mr. Newsom, your time is up.
Well, my time is up now. I appreciate it, but we will be there, and you will see me again. Thank you, and have a good summer.
All right, thank you, Mr. Newsom. Any other speakers on non-agenda topics? Any other? If not, we will close that part of the program. Business by board members? Business by board members? Mrs.
Oh, thank you.
Peter?
I'll repeat what Mrs. Barham said earlier for the board. We do thank those volunteers that received awards tonight, and for the many others that have done so much for Suffolk Public Schools. And the next thing is, I know we're going to get some repercussion because I do know some programs that have done great things this year, and we're going to have to talk to them and let them know that we could not name, it's like Miss America, we could only name one Miss America, so we could only select one from schools. I know before I go to bed tonight, I'll hear from those groups who have actually done a lot of work in Suffolk Public School, either financially or voluntarily of their services. We had a lovely graduation, most proud of it, most proud of the article today on the young lady who has completed and going to Chowan College. I had a part in her parents' life, her mother, and her mother's twin sister, and I was really proud to know that the child was very successful and is on her way to higher learning. And, of course, we're looking forward to another great year. So, thank you all. Mr. Copeland.
Thank you, Ms. Skeeter. Next, Mr. Mitnick.
Yes, I'd just like to start out first by congratulating the girls track team at Nasmyth River High School for winning the 5A state championship. Several years in a row that those girls have brought home the championship, and I'd like to congratulate them. I'd like to thank all of our teachers. Today ends school for the children, and tomorrow is the teachers' last day. We appreciate the efforts that you put into your job, and all of our employees for the work that they do. We hope that you have a safe and restful summer, and look forward to seeing everyone back in August. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mitnick. Next, Dr. Welk.
I'd like to say a few things. One especially, graduation is probably the most special time of the year for me, and to me the proof is in the pudding. I listened as people made whatever comments they want to make, but the reality is 950 students graduated from high school. They met all the standards. They did quite well, and they earned over $12 million in scholarships, which says to me, teachers, staff, students, principals, parents, you've done an excellent job. Keep doing what you're doing because it is working. I'm always interested as an educational researcher when I look at what children do on the SATs, what children do on the SOLs, and what children get as an outcome. And what I find is that many of the things that we've come up with in late years with regard to accountability don't seem to wash with what the outcomes are that we're getting. So I would not be discouraged about SOL scores. They're one of the things that we have to do, and they've been put in place by some of our legislators and some of our people that I don't know are very forward-thinking, but at any rate, our children are doing well, and the proof is in the pudding, the graduation. 950 students met all the standards and did it well. Thank you so much for what you've done, and thanks for another great school year.
Thank you, Dr. Buck. Now move on to Dr.
First of all, I'd like to commend all the staff that participate in the SOLs and the success of the SOLs. I think it's going to be evident, I hope anyway. And I'd like to find out a little bit about the test scores. I understand that they're in immediately now, is that correct?
They are, but we have to be careful because we don't have all of the calculations and the formulas that are used. We'll be presenting SOL results at the August retreat.
I'm concerned about giving them to the individuals as they...
Individual students, yes, we can give them to individual students.
Do they know that? Do the students know they can get them?
Generally, it's a matter of if they've passed or if they haven't passed. As far as giving them the actual score and the traditional report that they get later in the summer, we don't give that. But quite naturally, we let them know if they've passed or didn't pass, because many times they can, they might be eligible for expedited testing in which they can take it again. So, yes, they are.
One of the questions I had. The other one is, now, the school safety plan, with the situation as it is, the Bayside situation is close to my heart. I'm concerned about a safety plan. Can we get an update on our school safety plans to know where we are with them and where each school is, or where the school community is with it?
We certainly can. We're very careful when we present the safety plan in general. We don't give the actual plan. We don't make that public because sometimes it tells exactly what we're going to do. We don't want to put that information out there, but we'll be certain to share with you the components that are included in a safety plan as far as each school as well as the system-wide crisis plan.
Good, thank you.
Speaking of a safety... I'm sorry.
I'm through, yes.
I thought he was through. I'm sorry. Speaking of a safety plan, I do know all of the things that we've been reading in the paper about, you should do this in your schools, you should do that, and you should do the other. I just want to recognize the fact that the challenge that you have is, of course, everyone says, well, everyone should go through a metal detector. Well, I mean, as a teacher, I remember how long it took for everyone to go through a metal detector, and so we have to think of solutions that are actually feasible. The other big problem is people say, well, you should have all of the exits closed. Well, of course, the problem there is that what happens if there's a fire? So I just wanted to recognize the fact that there are challenges that are much more complicated than one would think. And the other thing, I want to thank everyone who's sitting over there. I used to think when I was a teacher, the rumor was always that the central office was top-heavy. Well, now that I'm on the board and I've worked with just every one of you, I know how hard you work and what you do, and all of the plans that you've come up with and how hard you've worked on them. I just want to commend all of you that are part of his cabinet and the ones that work for them, because you've made a fantastic year, and I'm sure it's going to continue that way. Thank you.
All right, Dr.
Yeah, I'd like to make one more. I forgot one more commendation. That's okay. I'd like to commend the city council for coming through and giving us the money we asked for to help support the teachers for next year's salary increase. I thought that they did a good job in coming around and giving us the money we asked for.
We've had a lot of events going on, of course, many of us have attended, but I just wanted to highlight some of the ones that to me are just showed the excellence of our school system. We attended the College and Career Academy at Pruden, their service the other night, and I think we had over 100 students who were certified in various career skills. To me, that is a great accomplishment for our city. It gives those young people an opportunity to move forward to get a job, and that's the important thing. I want to congratulate Ms. Connie Burgess, her first year at Pruden, and of course she's done an outstanding job, and all of her staff, outstanding. We had retirement banquet. I think we had, I read somewhere, 1,025 years of service. We recognized former employees who were retiring, and they are to be commended. This is what is so important in our system, that we have continuity and that we have people who are dedicated, and this is a true example of that dedication. I think Mr. Copeland, several of Mr. Mitnick and I and Dr. Whitney were at the biomedical white coat ceremony. It's just showing how we are moving forward, and that's what we want to see. That was wonderful at Lakeland. Our first cohort of biomedical students have finished, and, we're moving in the right direction. These are the positive things, and I was so impressed by that ceremony, and the Ms. McDonald is to be commended. Everyone who worked with those young people and everyone in the central office who worked to make that program so successful. And these things just don't happen. It takes a lot of hard work, and we realize that. And a special thank you to all of our employees. This has been a great school year. I have seen a lot of good changes. I know we're not perfect, but I think we're moving in the right direction. And I just want to thank all the employees, from cafeteria workers, teachers, administrators, everyone. I think everyone is on board. We're a wonderful team, and we're moving in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Copeland.
Thank you, Ms. Barham. To piggyback on what has been stated, I too feel like that we've had a fantastic year. We cannot complain, in my opinion, of our employees. The council members were very appreciative by giving us full funding of the budget, and we appreciate the work of our superintendent and his staff for what they are doing. Has been stated, these things just didn't happen by chance. I've been in the Suffolk school system all my life. I attended the school system. I graduated. I taught here. I was an administrator here, and now I've been on the board, going on 12 years, been on council. So I can speak very positive about our system. We have come a long ways. I can't believe that we can, if I could wave a magic wand and every child in the school system were successful, that would be great. But we know that is not reality. We know Suffolk is not Virginia Beach. Suffolk is not Chesapeake. These areas have people, despite their children going to achieve despite the instruction in the classroom. They learn at the breakfast table, their parents, and it just goes on and on. So we are proud of what we are doing in the Suffolk school system. We had a young lady at Lakeland who received the Jefferson Award. Out of 40, I understand about 47 in this entire state of the United States. And this young lady got the Jefferson Award. So we have something to be proud of. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to people down our system. We are a system on the move, and we are proud of what we have accomplished. So at that, I will ask for information items, any information items. No, closed meeting certificate if needed. Okay, information items. Anybody like to discuss any information items? If not, we'll go with the action on the closed meeting pupil personnel report.
I recommend that we approve the pupil personnel report.
Second. Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Personnel report.
I recommend that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Second it.
Board members will please vote. Motion carried.
Student appeal 17/18-10.
Student Appeal 1718-10 was withdrawn.
So no action is required because she withdrew the appeal.
OE action 17/18.
Employee Action 17/1801, reassigned from full-time to substitute for 1 year. And on probation. Put that in there.
Second.
Board members will please vote. Motion is carried 6-1.
There is no other business at this time. Again, we appreciate your attendance, and we hope that you will go home and have a very restful night. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.